It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. And this show is brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com, get a copy of my book, an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. Also, too, did you know that 30% of the people that are on online dating websites they're in a monogamous relationship? They're in a either they're dating someone exclusively or they're married, but they still have ads, personal ads, online dating website ads, Tinder, Match.com, Plenty of Fish, all that kind of stuff. If you suspect your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend is cheating on you, you give us their email address, and we can trace it back to online dating websites and catch them cheating online. And even if you don't know their email address, if you think they got a secret email address, we can even find the secret email address for you. It's a secret. That's what I'm whispering. Okay, that's at emailrevealer.com. All kinds of investigations for you there. Asset searches, adoption investigations, locates, email tracing. Pretty much anything to do with email, online defamation, internet stalking, all kinds of fun stuff we handle here every freaking day of the week. Oh boy, I got a subpoena in the mail today. A subpoena in the mail was mailed to me on the 21st to appear in court in Florida on a case I've been working on down there today. I got it at 4. I got it at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2, 3, 4. No, it was like 1:30. I got it. And I had to race home before 5 to call up the court down there and tell them, hey, I just got this thing today. Because they'll issue a bench warrant if the judge gets pissed off at you. But luckily, the defendant in the case pled guilty. She took a plea deal. I don't know how much time she got, but she was a nut. She probably got like 10 years. That's the one I was telling you about where, I'm not concerned about getting killed, for talking about Trump and Epstein and stuff like that, because I got this defendant, this woman, this crazy woman who was stalking her ex-boyfriend and his new wife. The woman's insane. I could talk about it now a little bit. She was, man, my God, I saw the picture of the mugshot. She was just totally out of her mind. And so we got her on a probation, not a probation, a restraining order violation. And then we violated her probation. That's what it was. And so they was going to have a probation violation hearing. And they let her out on bail. And they let her go to Vegas. To come kill me. Okay? All right? Oh, God almighty. But anyway, that thing's done now. It's solved. It's done. I hate to see anybody go to prison, but, if they're going to be a problem for me, that's how things got to go. Okay. What a night. What a night. What a show. What a crowd. Okay, we got, what do we got here? We got Joe Arpaio has been pardoned. Sheriff Joe, the racist pig down there, puts his prisoners in, not even, they're awaiting trial, not even convicted. Got them in pink jumpsuits, feed them rotten bologna. Contempt of court for driving around, telling his cops to drive around and check people's papers to see if they're U.S. citizens. Okay, so Trump gave him a pardon. Then we got that guy, Sebastian Gorka, who's a Nazi who wore a Nazi medal to the inauguration. He's out. That's big news. We got a hurricane. There's Hurricane Harvey down there, about to kill everybody down there in Texas and New Orleans and stuff. But listen, not all hurricanes are bad. Some are very fine storms. Some of them are very, very fine storms. Not all hurricanes are bad. Okay. But the news I'm going to give you tonight, it's sad news, and no one else is going to give it to you. It's just going to be me. In the DNC fraud lawsuit by our friends Nico House, our good friend Nico House, and attorney Elizabeth Beck and Jared Beck, Yale and Harvard law graduates practicing down there in Florida. Their case was dismissed. It was the DNC fraud lawsuit where they were suing the DNC for fraud because people had donated to the DNC. They were suing Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC because people had donated, and it was rigged. And also, too, they didn't maintain control over protect the information in the servers. The servers got hacked, and people were subjected to identity theft. And the DNC had no defense. And they says, it's rigged. Yeah, we rig our stuff. That's how we do it. We're rigger. DNC rig. DNCR. DNC rig. That's what we do. Well, the judge dismissed the case. And if you go back and listen to my interview with Elizabeth Beck, one of the questions I asked her was, who are the plaintiffs in this case? Who has been damaged? Who has been harmed? These are the elements you need of a civil case. You need a plaintiff. My plaintiff has been damaged. This is how they've been damaged. They've been damaged in your jurisdiction. This is where your jurisdiction is. This is how they were damaged in your jurisdiction. The defendant is the person who damaged them. This is the damage. This is basic paralegal stuff, that I learned, 40 years ago, just a little pup. Because, I'm a paralegal, people don't know that. Okay. But, oh my God. And I was trying to interview Elizabeth Beck, and after the interview, Danny, it was live on American Freedom Radio, and after the show, Danny says, "Oh boy, great show, Ed." And I says, "Well, Danny, I don't know, man. We couldn't make a connection. I couldn't get everything was so. I'd ask her a question, and it would just go around the twists and turns and go in all different kind of directions. I couldn't figure out what was going on because I asked her this question, and I wasn't satisfied with the answer, and still not satisfied. I don't know what." Hides or tails. I like Nico House. I trust him. I don't know what went down with that DNC lawsuit. I don't know what they were doing. They were doing these things with the filing for restraining orders and asking for U.S. Marshals to protect all the plaintiffs in the case, 24-hour protection. They were bringing up stuff about Sean Lucas, which I looked into myself. I spoke to friends of his, who don't feel there's any kind of conspiracy involved. And as I reported all this to you. And they were saying that this business about Debbie Washburn Schultz and a voice changer and a phone call coming in, all that stuff is not going to please the judge, and going on Alex Jones and bringing up all this other stuff, And what do we have here now? We have a Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon is when I heard about this. So Friday afternoon, on the same day as a hurricane down there in Florida, and Sheriff Joe's being a part, and a Sebastian Gorko guy, all this stuff is going on. One of the, a very fine hurricane, and who's one of the nice hurricanes, and then she releases this verdict, dismissing the suit's been dismissed. I don't know if I made that clear, but the suit's been dismissed, and there was another suit, a similar suit. Just announced, and they're describing it as an indictment, but I didn't even read it because I don't know anybody involved in it, and they seems to be like some Pizzagate characters who are, if you want to do this kind of stuff, let's get together and do it right. Hey, well, nothing but chaos going on in the political realm with Gorka and Sebastian, all this stuff going on there, Sheriff Joe. But I still got my notes from all the stuff I want to talk about. Got some big stuff coming up. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a show about Scott Peterson, American Freedom Radio. Very, very fine show. Went 2 hours with this, what's her name? Dylan's her last name. I forget her first name. I'm so sorry. And she was one of the old bloggers back when the Peterson case was going on. Very interesting show. I really enjoyed it. And I even revealed some stuff, my involvement in the Peterson case, which I probably shouldn't, but, who the hell cares anymore? So that's tomorrow. And also, too, I did a great interview with this guy, Jason Brad Berry. Not Bradbury. His middle name is Brad. His last name is Berry. Jason Berry. Middle name Brad. Who wrote this article. It came out this week called Steve Bannon, Porn and Meth. Meth and Porn House. This has been an ongoing investigation going down in Florida. Steve Bannon rented a house down in Florida for his wife, and he was registered to vote down in Florida. The lease was in his name. The utilities was in his name. He was getting mail there in his name. We'll be getting to that in a minute. And the new tenant moves in, and he finds this corrosion in the bathtub. He finds out that there was chemicals. They were cooking meth in the bathtub. They found stuff with barrels in there, and the cabinets taken off the walls. He was feeling sick, so he brought in a testing company to do scientific testing. He's going to sue the landlord, and they found traces of meth and cocaine in there. A repairman, and people said they were filming porno in there. So I interviewed Mr. Berry, He did some very fine work on this, and he tells me, Ed, man, this story's been well known down there. There's a lot of people talking about it. We're just starting to get it out. I got my story on tape before 2020 because 2020 is interviewing this the tenant as we speak. Now, I got a friend of mine from Facebook knows the tenant. She put me in touch with the tenant. I'm going to be interviewing him. That's why we didn't play it tonight, because I want to have a complete show. But it's going to be up in the members section. Good old Sean Duff from strongmanmusic.com is going to have that in our members section at oppermanreport.com by tomorrow night, I'm sure. So you can go there and purchase it for $2, or you can become a member for $6, and you can listen to this show about Steve Bannon, meth and porn house down there in Florida. Now, what we found exclusive in our interview that you can find only at the Opperman Report, only in our members section, is that Steve Bannon received mail at that address, and one of the pieces of mail he received was a sex toy catalog mailed to recipient Steve Bannon. Another exclusive thing we have here is Mr. Berry mentions Ed. He says, and you got to listen to this yourself, because, he's being very careful. He doesn't want to be sued for libel. He doesn't want to get, wind up dead, with a sore throat. Ed, important thing about this story is there's a lot of human trafficking going on down here in Florida, Ed. And I'm hoping that after this story gets investigated, we can come back in a year from now and we'll be talking about that some good came out of this. And we've exposed human trafficking. It doesn't make a direct connection, but what's he bringing it up for? So there's something we can look for, and that's exclusive to the Opperman Report. You got to tune in and find that at oppermanreport@gmail.com, oppermanreport.com in our members section. You want to sign up for a year? I'll give you a deal. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. I'll give you a deal for a discount on a year, 13 months, $69 for a year. Okay, one of the things that I'm not done with Steve Bannon, though. Okay, I know a lot of people are off to Sebastian Borka and talking about subpoenas with the Flynn and stuff like that. That Manafort, I'm not finished with Bannon. I found some very interesting information about Bannon. Do you remember Pauly Shore? Pauly Shore was the son of Mitzi Gaynor, and he was the comedy club. He used to hang out at the comedy club in California because his mother owned the comedy club. And he became a comedian. And a lot of comedians resent Pauly Shore, because, he got into it because his mom owned this comedy club. Okay, I don't think he's very funny. And he gets laid all over the place. He gets a lot of girls, young girls, there's a dog. There's stories about him going to proms and stuff like that and hitting on girls, okay? High school proms. They got stories about this guy. I don't know if they're true or not, but the stories are out there. Anyway, he did a movie once called Biodome, where Pauly Shore, the hero of this movie, was somehow the Biodome was this experiment they had back in the 90s in Arizona, where they were creating it was called Biosphere. It was called Biosphere 2 experiment, where they were creating an enclosed environment that had all 4 seasons. It was like a self-contained ecosystem where the plants would create oxygen, and the theory that someday this can go on Mars or the moon or something like that. We're going to have a base, but it was a biosphere here on Earth. So did you know that Steve Bannon was involved in that project? A lot of people don't know that. He used to own an investment company called Bannon and Company, and he was hired to help the Space Biosphere Ventures out of their financial troubles. Okay? And so what happens is he goes to work for this company, and the first thing he gets, he can't get along with people. That's Steve Bannon. That's the story of him. I guess they weren't cooking enough meth inside the Biodome for him. Okay, there wasn't enough porn filming going on for Steve Bannon. Okay, but he was unhappy. He wanted to fire some people. It's either me or them. They go or I go. So he wants to get rid of 2 of the top scientists who run this damn thing, right? So they wouldn't get rid of these scientists. Bannon throws a hissy fit and he quits. But they bring him back a year later when they agree to fire these 2 scientists. The people involved in this project are so upset over Bannon firing their friends and coming back that they sabotaged the project. And I remember this was in the news because they had sealed these participants and these subjects of this experiment, and they were going to keep them in there for like a year or 2. But these 2 disgruntled researchers who got kicked off the project by Steve Bannon went and sabotaged it by inserting outside air into the project. into the sphere, this hermetically sealed sphere bio thing. So it turns out it doesn't end there. These scientists who work so hard on this project, their life's work, they sabotage it because they can't get along with Steve Bannon. Then there's a lawsuit. The two scientists sue Biosphere and sue Bannon. What's all this stuff? I got it written down there because there were female staffers. He didn't like them. What was he doing? He was insulting to the plaintiff and other female employees of Biosphere 2, and in their presence and against their will, made lewd remarks, told offensive off-color jokes, made disparaging remarks about females, made sexually suggestive remarks, discussed females they had known in a lewd and derogatory fashion, and in general acted with total indifference to the feelings of the plaintiff and other female employees of Biosphere 2. One of the plaintiffs also claims that he made comments about her being a woman in a man's job. Now, Bannon admits, he admits, I did vow to kick her ass. Okay. All right. But he has a reason. And he threatened to ram, she wrote some kind of a 5-page statement about safety problems, right? And he threatened to ram it down her freaking throat. Effing throat. And he also called her a self-centered, deluded young woman and a bimbo. And he chalked all this up to hard feelings and broken dreams. That's his response to the lawsuit. This is, Anyway, they lost. They lost their lawsuit, and Biosphere and Bannon had to pay them $600,000, which is a lot of money back in the 90s, believe it or not. You figure it'd be about close to $1 million now, a little over $1 million in equal fair. So that's Biosphere, the story of Steve Bannon and Biosphere. But keep your eye out for what I'm reporting to you here. The fun stuff with the Bannon. Just imagine any other presidency in our lifetime where, first of all, they had a character like this in the White House at all, but then to find out the guy with these sores on his face, open sores all over the place. And by the way, the stuff about, a lot of people said this is like sensationalist. Bannon's ex-wife down there, first of all, she's, according to a relative of hers, she's institutionalized in some kind of way. She's a model from Ireland. But she was arrested down there because her boyfriend, who was living at that house, got arrested for drugs. And then when she went to the prison, she tried to smuggle in a cell phone and some marijuana for him. So she got arrested on that. So all this stuff is not like way out there. There's reports about the police reports coming to the house, other roommates, stalking, all kinds of bizarre stuff went on at that house that was under Steve Bannon's name. Neighbors saw him there. People showed up there looking for him. He was receiving mail there. The utilities were in his name. I think I mentioned this last week. I had a client once who had her name on a grow house, a marijuana grow house. And she only had the lease was in her name. The utilities weren't in her name. There was no mail there going to her name. And she still caught some charges on that. And she did have to plead guilty. She had to take a plea deal, even though the defense was that she did not live there. She had a contract. She had a lease, a sublease between her and the people that were actually running the grow house, but all in the fake names and stuff like that. But she had some kind of documentation that was backdated and notarized. Okay. Oh, here's a good one for you. You watch Mr. Trump, President Mr. Trump this week had a rally in Phoenix, Arizona, or Arizona. I don't know what part of Arizona it was. And who was behind him? Blacks for Trump, 2020.com. Michael the Black Man, he calls himself. And he's always behind Trump. And he brags this week that he was the first one online to get behind Trump. And Trump is giving his speech. And this guy is standing up. He's cheering. He's yelling things out. He's dancing around. He's holding up signs. He's, the guy's part of the presidential speech. Okay, this guy was a fixture in the background. He was like a prop back there doing his shtick. You know who this guy is? He's got a T-shirt on himself there, right? It says gods2.com, GODS2.com. Now look that up. Go to that website. It's all this stuff about how this guy's insane, and we're going to get into this. This guy is certifiably insane. He was charged with murder by the way, okay? It's part of this crazy cult. But you go to the website, first of all, and there's all kinds of crazy things on there. Barack Obama is the beast. Hillary Clinton is Ku Klux Klan member. Oprah Winfrey is the devil. The Confederate flag is somehow a Native American flag, and then Native Americans with a Ku Klux Klan. It's just so freaking bizarre and makes no sense. Now, there's no way at this stage of the game the Secret Service is not aware of this guy, and Donald Trump is not aware of this guy and his background and all this stuff. This guy's got some serious stuff going on. He was charged. He was acquitted, but he was charged with conspiracy to commit 2 murders. By the way, too, this guy's been down at Mar-a-Lago. He's posted, because I've been trying to book him. He's not going to come on the show now, but I've been trying to book him on the show. He's got a Facebook page, and there's no way to contact him through the website, but I've been trying to contact him. I found his personal Facebook page, and I found his Blacks for Trump 2020 Facebook page. He goes by a bunch of different names. One is Michael Simonet. Another one is Maurice Woodside. And then Mikhail Israel. So he's using a bunch of different names. And I haven't tried to get a phone number on him yet, but I can if I want to. Hey, okay. When he was using the name Maurice Woodside around 1980, he joined this cult led by a guy named Hulan Mitchell Jr., who went by the name Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And it was this wacky cult that turned violent, okay? It was around 21 years old when he joined this cult. And what happened was the cult, 14 members of the cult, and Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and our friend, Michael the Black Man, for Trump, 14 others were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Okay. Now, Yahweh Ben Yahweh had a brother who actually testified against his own brother. He was part of the cult, but he jumped out of the cult because Yahweh Ben Yahweh, when his mother was dying, he wouldn't allow them to get medical attention to his mother. He just said that he'd feed her fruits and vegetables and she'll be fine. And so the mother died. So the brother, Ricardo Woodside, Yahweh Ben Yahweh's brother, wound up testifying against our friend here, Maurice Woodside. No, actually, it's Maurice's brother. The guy who you see behind Trump, his own brother testified against him. Okay, because they allowed their mother to die. The brother of our hero here, who stands behind Mr. Trump, who gets the thumbs up by Mr. Trump. Trump turns around and they're waving at each other. They know each other. He goes to Mar-a-Lago, this guy. His own brother said that they helped beat a man to death, okay, and that he beheaded the guy with a dull machete, and he took a wooden stick, a sharpened wooden stick, and he poked him in the eye with it. A different guy. Now, the leader of the cult was sentenced to 11 years in prison. But our friend here was acquitted. And now he's a huge Trump supporter and stands behind our president of the United States of America. Imagine if there's a guy like that behind Kennedy. Or there was a guy like that behind Bernie Sanders. Or a guy like that behind the Clinton. Just imagine. A lunatic like that jumping around, dancing around, hold up with this crazy website, promoting his website over the thing. Victoria figured out how to get behind Bernie. She's behind Bernie in a couple of his speeches here in Nevada. You can see her. She's all the way up in the corner. But and her and her friends, they figured out how to do it. They got a friend who wears the burqa, the hijab, it's called, It's not a whole full burqa, but it's just a hijab headdress, because she's Muslim. And so they would bring her with them, and then Bernie would see them, and they say, "Oh, okay, come on, get behind Bernie," because they want to look, diverse. So they figured out how to do it. So Vic's been back there, and they tell you, listen, you can't hold up any signs, you can't act weird. If we see you doing this, we're going to grab you and pull you off the stage. This has got a murderer, a guy who testified murderer. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned Strawman Music's website, strawmanmusic.com, Sean Duff. I'm thinking, Sean Duff, maybe we should just shorten it, just call him Snuff. Okay, Snuff. Okay, so we don't have to say Sean Duff, we just say Snuff. Sean Duff from strawmanmusic.com. His band is called Strawman. I think he's the drummer, and I think he sings, too, in this band. Strawmanmusic.com. Check him out. He's confirming for me that we're going to have that up there by tomorrow. Good man, Snuff. He's a Canadian. Okay, what else? Call me whenever you like, Ted. What? Call me whatever you like. Okay, whatever that is. I don't know. No, keep the jokes to me there, Sean. Snuff. Very sad news. I tell you, I was joking with Mr. Snuff from strawmanmusic.com. We should call it snuffmanmusic.com. I think we should change the name of the band, too. We're going to have to call a meeting, a band meeting. We change the name of the band. Anyway. Sad news. Sad news. I should have sad music to play in the background, but I'm working on my equipment here, by the way. We straightened out all that stuff with Spreaker. I fixed it. And I'm going to start to be able to play some music and stuff like that. I got some people coming in to help me. I got a whole bunch of projects going on. This is never ending. We're actually pitching a documentary film to Vice TV and to that project that I've been working on with Hank Harrison. We're still moving forward on that. We're still moving forward. Things are going. But anyway, Jerry Lewis from Martin and Lewis Coloring Books. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Muscular dystrophy telethons. Mr. Jerry Lewis passed away this week, which is a milestone, right? Just my goodness. I remember, growing up watching those Jerry Lewis telethons. I used to love that thing, man. I dug that thing, man. In the 70s, that time when Frank Sinatra came out and he made Jerry get back and shake hands with Dean. Come on, get over here, guys. Enough is enough. I'm the chairman of the board, and you two are going to be friends from now on. I demand it. Sammy Davis Jr. would go in there, What a show that was, man. It was so cool. And I remember one time I was traveling and I was here in Vegas, and it just happened to be Memorial Day. And I said, man, I'm here in Vegas. Memorial Day. It was like in the 80s, like 1985. I said, I got to get over there. And I went down there and I got in. And, it was such a cool, man, with live bands, people hanging out, milling about, in the audience. People didn't even sit in their chairs. They would get up and walk around and go back and sit down again. People drinking. They're going out to the casino, getting drinks, coming back. Man, really, really cool, So Jerry up there doing his shtick. Then I found out this little anecdote, a local story about Jerry Lewis that you're not going to hear anywhere else, okay? And this is a well-known story here from people in town. Jerry Lewis had a housekeeper that worked for him. And this housekeeper had a boyfriend. She was dating this guy. And for some reason, no one quite knows why, Jerry Lewis didn't like this guy. And he runs a criminal background check on this housekeeper's boyfriend. And he finds the guy had some kind of criminal records. I believe the rumor is, the legend goes, that he used Bob Mayhew, who was a famous private investigator in town. He worked for the CIA, former FBI, former CIA, worked for Howard Hughes, and worked for the big casinos. I did a lot of work for the casinos out here later on in his life. I think his company was called Mayhew International. And his son Peter Mayhew was very familiar with this story one time when we were at a PI convention here. Anyway. Mr. Jerry Lewis finds out this dirt on his housekeeper's boyfriend, and he shows it to the housekeeper. Now, the housekeeper actually married this guy and ultimately divorced the guy. And the guy felt that Jerry was the cause of the problem in the marriage. Because Jerry did this thing with the police report, and I guess Jerry was causing problems in this guy's relationship with his wife. So he called up Jerry and he confronted him. And they had a fight over the phone. And they cursed each other out. And they threatened each other. And the guy got arrested. And the guy got thrown in jail. And the guy did serious time for a phone call with Jerry Lewis. And then the guy gets out of jail. I don't know how much time he did. I tried to look up the story. I really couldn't find much on it. Just some retelling of the story. The guy gets out of jail. And even though he had a restraining order, Jerry Lewis had a restraining order against him because Jerry was in fear for his life for this guy. Right? Guy never touched him, never laid a finger on him. Jerry was the cause of all the instigating all the problems with this guy. Even though the guy did not initiate contact with Jerry. The ruling was something along the lines that when Jerry initiated contact with him, he did not discontinue that contact. He allowed it to progress. Because Jerry contacted him. The guy gets thrown back in jail again. And this wasn't for short sentences. It was like 7 years, 8 years this guy was getting for an argument with Jerry Lewis over the phone after Jerry Lewis tried to break up his marriage. Jerry Lewis wasn't done. After that, Jerry Lewis went before the Nevada legislature and had the stalking laws changed so that for this phone call crime, rather than just getting 10 years, he wanted it raised to 25 years because he was a horrible victim of stories. Now, that's the story, the true story of Jerry Lewis that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. Been running out of stories. I had a lot of notes. Okay, let's take a little commercial break here. We'll take a break because everybody loves a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that. I'm not going to say it because if they're not sponsors, I'm not going to mention it. pscoco.com. Break me off a piece of that. pscoco.com. Do. I should be able to sing for strongmanmusic.com. I'm looking for my ad here. I wasn't prepared. Come on. I'd love to tell you guys about my fight with Budget Rent-A-Car. Would you like to hear that? I'd love to talk about that. But just in case something happens to them over there. Over at Budget Rent-A-Car. This is an unfortunate accident with those people over there. I don't want to be connected to it. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Archival Revival, the Christian Film Archive, is currently paying for vintage Christian films. They are dedicated to preserving and restoring classic Christian films. So if you have any original prints, negatives, or other documents of classic Christian films, you have 40 aspects of classic Christian records you want to buy them. Archival Revival wants to preserve these classic Christian films so that they continue saving people for years. These films have brought people to salvation. They want to continue them. Experience preserving on the website at archival.gmail.com. If there's someone you know has these prints, negatives, recording messages, or other materials from vintage Christian films, you can check out their blog at archivalrevival.blogspot.com. Now, just so you understand, Archival Revival wants to give you these films so you can look in your church attic, in the church basement. You have a friend who runs a Christian youth ministry or a vacation Bible study camps. You know, they have these old metal sponsors actually you more. And just contact them, tell them when you want. If you're in the UK or Ireland or Africa, these films are all over the world. They're gathering with us and they're going to get material. Don't get archival. So that's archival.revival.com. The blogspot is archival.blogspot.com. Don't forget, the show is brought to you by pscoco.com. Phoebe Sod is an independent curator with the Cocoa Exchange. The Cocoa Exchange is formerly known as Dove Chocolate Discoveries, and they make the finest silky smooth chocolate because the products start with the best cocoa beans, which are tested for quality and flavor by expert technicians. The Cocoa Exchange offers not just premium chocolates, but anything from sauces and spices to brownie and cake mixes, and even coffee and martini mixes. If you wish to treat yourself or someone you love to a sweet and tasty gift, then the Cocoa Exchange is the brand for you. So you go to pscoco.com, you click on the Shop Now button. You can see all their beautiful chocolates. You can order it right now tonight. It could be in your mailbox in a couple of days. Or if you want to get into the chocolate business, you want to be a chocolatier just like Phoebe Sod, you can click the Contact Us button, and you can learn how to get your own website, go into the cocoa chocolate business, and sell chocolate and make a little bit of money there. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But you also do all the kind of different services for you. An online dating service investigation. It's called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites. And we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, even gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites. If you think your ex-husband or something is addicted to prescription medication or involved in a extreme online pornography addiction, we can produce a report for you that you can use in court. Adoption investigations. If you want to locate your birth parents or your birth child you gave away for adoption, we can do adoption investigations for you. Asset searches for you. Locate bank accounts, hidden assets, hidden properties, hidden income, all different kinds of services in the asset search investigation. Email tracing. If you need to locate or identify somebody from just an email address, we can do an email trace investigation for you. And all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. I apologize for not having my mic muted during our fine commercials there. People are not going to hear the hissing and whatever. Okay, back to the show. This week, President Mr. Trump made his announcement of his plan for what we're going to be doing in Afghanistan. Right now, it's a secret. It's a top secret plan. He's not telling us everything, but basically, he's taking the handcuffs off the soldiers and they'll be able to do more things they weren't able to do before. But in that speech, I know all you fans out there, President Mr. Trump, and one of the great things about President Mr. Trump that he was going to do, that you all promised us, is that he had vowed, and we saw this, we saw it on RT, said this, reported this, and it was reported on before it's news and your Newswire and all these great news outlets, reported that President Mr. Trump was going to get to the bottom of 9/11. He was going to tell us what really happened that day. And he was going to launch an investigation, a real investigation, not the 9/11 Commission, a real one. You'd think if he was really interested in being in, because he's a 9/11 truther, right? That's what they say behind the scenes, right? That's what all the stuff, all the truther radio shows out there were saying. What we hear is behind the scenes, he's a 9/11 truther, right? He just can't say it yet. He's got to wait till he's president. He's going to launch an investigation. Now, you think if any of this was true and he really wanted to know what happened on 9/11, what happened to those World Trade Centers, he would turn his head and ask Rudy Giuliani, okay? But this week, he came out with his theory, the truth of what he believes happened at 9/11. And if you listen to his speech over there of what our plan on attacking Afghanistan, first of all, the guy was a 9/11 truther. He said, well, we don't have to be in Afghanistan. Okay, that's, because Afghanistan didn't do anything. What are we there for? Let's leave. But he didn't say that. He repeated the 9/11 Commission, that the plan to attack our World Trade Center was hatched in Afghanistan. That's what your Mr. Trump did this week. That's what your Mr. Trump did this week. Okay, so I don't know was that the final nail in his coffin or what? You know, all you people out there supporting Trump because he's a truther, he's an anti-Illuminati, he's an anti-globalist, he's all this, he's one of us, he's going to help us, right? Well, now what? What do you say now there, Reggie? Okay? Reginald Von Gleason? Tell me what now? What's your theory now? Okay? You know? And you still think that Antifa's your enemy when they're over there protesting against this Mr. Trump there. And who's protecting Mr. Trump? The police. Forget it. They'll never forget it. Trump and the police are attacking anti-fascists. This is my point. Now, I got another question for you. Okay, now, a couple of years ago, I said to myself, I had a guest on here, and he was talking about Agenda 21. I said, Agenda 21? I said, you know what? Let me read Agenda 21. Let me look into this thing and see what it is. It says, is it a secret document? I hear people talking about it. There's supposed to be chemtrails in there, and underground tunnels, Walmart tunnels, and Jade Helm is all there in it. Agenda 21, and plots to, they want to close the cities, they want to round up everybody and bring them into cities. So have the control of them, they want to regulate this. I said, let me find this. So I read Agenda 21. It was like 80 pages. It's not even a big document. I read the whole freaking thing. There's nothing in it. A bunch of crap. Bunch of stuff. We need more money to study this. We need more money to study that. We need to encourage rural women for projects. We need rural banks to help people in rural areas. A bunch of pluff. Nothing. And then I go, well, show me, and anybody people out there talking about Agenda 20, show me the page you're upset about. Because show me, read it, come back to me with the page. Well, I'm going to challenge you again today. Because we hear all this stuff about George Soros. George Soros and the Soros Foundation, what is it? Open Source, I think it's called. And all this about George Soros paying protesters. He's paying Antifa. He's paying Black Lives Matter. Now, there was a hack of some emails, and we found out, I think there was a payment of $80,000 in goods and services to Black Lives Matter. $300 million to Black Lives Matter he's funding, right? You hear these crazy stories, right? And the most you can come up is some kind of services to Black Lives Matter worth $80,000. That could be anything. He let them use an office. He let them use some phones. He let them, had a lawyer consult with them and draw up some paperwork for them. We don't know what that is. Okay, but this theory that every protest you see out there, that the first conclusion in your mind is, well, it was paid for by George Soros. I'm laying out a challenge to you all there. Okay? Find me some real facts, not this crap. Don't send me a YouTube video. I'm not even going to. I've clicked on all that crap. I've looked for it. There's nothing there yet. I can't find it. I talked to Ted Rubenstein about this, and he says, well, Peter Dale Scott has some stuff to say about Soros, and I haven't found that yet. I'm still working on this, and I'm open to hearing it. Hey, listen, you got some evidence against Soros. I want to hear it. I believe the guy was a bad guy. The only things I can find out about the guy is, he supported Hillary. MoveOn.org. I reported firsthand on what I saw happen here when MoveOn.org hijacked one of our events, okay? And it seemed to be turning into a stage event. Some guys showed up with guns and stuff like that, okay? I reported on that firsthand. You didn't hear that reported anywhere. I broke into on the air in the middle of the night and reported on that when I was getting word about what was going on. So it's not like I'm adverse to this idea. I just want to see some facts. I want to see some reality. Not Breitbart, not the, Zero Hedge, all this crap. I want to see some real facts. Show me a document, a white paper, something, or a report, a court document, something real that we could hold in our hands. What I can find out about Soros is that first of all, he's a supporter of Hillary, he's a supporter of Obama right away. I have no use for the guy. He's an oligarch, I got no use for him. His crime seemed to be some kind of a currency manipulation. But then again, if you look, Goldman Sachs, and my guest I had on tonight, we were talking about it. They're guilty of currency manipulation and debt manipulation in Greek with the Greek debt crisis. Goldman Sachs is behind that. Goldman Sachs is full of the Trump White House is full of Goldman Sachs people, and then Clinton too. Why isn't Goldman Sachs? Well, maybe they're paying these protesters. Okay, maybe Goldman Sachs is paying them. We have just as much proof that Soros is paying as we do that Goldman Sachs is paying. So I want to see some proof that Soros is behind all this stuff. Okay? So I'm out there. I'm ready to listen. All right? To what you got. And the stuff about him wearing the Nazi uniform, that's a hoax. Okay? But he was involved when he was a young man going house to house or something like that and taking inventory for the Nazis. So he has some kind of Nazi background. So, but, come to me, point me in a direction. I want to study this, and I want to find out some facts. Please not retarded YouTube videos, man, like you guys did with or these regurgitated, BS articles on, and websites and stuff like that. I want to see something real with some foundation to it. Now, I was notified of it's along the same line of the stuff about George Soros. Because in Charlestonville, North Carolina, this group, Crowds on Demand, had placed a Craigslist ad saying that they're looking for enthusiastic actors and photographers and people that are protesters or activists to show. They want to hire them, okay, for an event there in Charlottesville. But that one was, by the way, in Charlotte, not Charlottesville. So then, and people say, well, that's George Soros. There it is. It's hiring them. It's a proof, right? It's crisis actors. It's all fake, blah, blah, blah. Now, so then someone posted this group, Crowds on Demand, here in Las Vegas, looking for protesters. And right away, Ted Rubenstein tags me and says, hey, check this out. It's Las Vegas. Okay, I'm on it. Hey, man, that's what I do for a living. Let's find out who these people are. Let's see what's going on. I contacted them. I answered the Craigslist ad. I said, listen, I'm an activist. I can round up 20 activists for you tomorrow if you need 20 people. I have a background in film. I'm a casting. I have a casting credit involved in two films and a pilot, a casting. I did the casting for the Dr. Drew episode. People don't some stuff, guys. I did some casting, too, for some other stuff that never made it to, but for the sizzle reels and that kind of stuff where I got paid for it. I told them, listen, here's my IMDb credit. Done some TV exposure. I'm an activist. I could find you people here. What do you need? Right? Now, I never heard back from them. They wanted some kind of protesters here or people to show up at a campaign rally or a protest event here in Las Vegas, but they never got back to me. They were paying $25 an hour. And I actually would have went down. I would have went down and took the money. Let's sign a non-disclosure. Okay, I'll sign it. I think I give it to them. Okay. What are you going to sue? Let's sue me, man. Let's do it. Let's go to court. I'm not afraid of court. Okay. I'm on contempt. I was in contempt of court up until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Okay. I would have not answered that subpoena. I didn't, but I was a total accident, though. But anyway. So I never heard back from them, but I did a little digging to find out what was going on. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty damn sure that who did we have a campaign event here in town this week announcing his candidacy for Senator of Nevada? Danny Tarkanian. Danny Tarkanian has run for senator or different offices here in Nevada like 6 times. He's lost every single time. And now Trump is propping him up to run against Dean Heller because Trump is pissed off at Heller about how he disobeyed him for the Obamacare, repeal and replace, blah, blah, blah. Right? So Danny Tarkanian, he comes from the family, that guy. His father was Tarkanian, the basketball guy. I've met Danny Tarkanian, but I'm Facebook friends with Danny Tarkanian and his wife. And I see what's going on with these two. We don't get along at all. I got to tell you, they come off as racist. In fact, he was on the news defending Trump with his Charlottesville, a nice Nazi comment. Nazis are fine people comment. But Danny Tarkanian is the only guy in town that had an event this week that needed fillers to show up at the event. And if you look at his event, there was hardly anybody there. And they probably did get 10 people from this Crisis on Demand people to come down there to fill up that crowd and pay $250. I can't imagine that they would dip into their pockets more than $500 or $700 for fillers to fill up this crowd here. And that's probably why who had them, because there was no other events going in town this week. The ad is down. Okay, so they got the people they want. The event is over. So that's my little investigation to that. And other people who are local political types agree with me that it was most likely Danny Tarkanian. Okay, we're almost done. I can almost turn this microphone off and go to bed. I had such a long day last night. You have no idea. I had to drive up to Mesquite. I had to rent a car and drive up there, and then budget rent a car totally screwed me, and I had to. They had been locked up my car in their parking lot last night. I couldn't get my car back. So now I had to come take the rent-a-car back here today and then drive back up there this morning and get the car again. These bums. And then everything at the counter takes 2 hours. But anyway, another big thing that happened this week, and it's a big, big event. Again, this is the I Told You So show. I told you so. Everyone, when Christopher Steele comes out with his dossier about Mr. Trump and his golden showers, and right away everyone starts saying, well, it's unconfirmed. Well, it's not confirmed. And I'm saying, well, yeah, guys, I got to tell you, in my experience, and I know a little bit about this kind of thing, in order for a private investigation firm to get hired to do opposition research, even in a governor's race or a mayor's race, they're vetted out. These campaigns aren't just throwing away money, and this had to be a very expensive report. There's a lot of work here, guys. I'm telling you, the guy has sources, in Russia, and the oligarchs. This guy knows. I'm telling you guys, there's something here. Then there were things in there that I could personally confirm, like the business about how Trump had some kind of what was it called, Webzilla company. He had a contact that was able to divert porn traffic to shut down websites and denial of service. I saw that firsthand. I was involved in that when I saw it. Now, but everyone is saying, well, the report is unconfirmed. The report is garbage. The report is trash. In fact, the people behind the report have a dubious background. They're dubious. I said, well, how are they dubious? Well, here's an article. Look, see, they're dubious. Okay, well, I don't give a damn about an article. What do these people know? So we find out we find out this week that this gentleman, Spencer, who was involved in this, in hiring Mr. Steele, who's former MI6 or MI5, whatever that is, used to work for the Wall Street Journal. Very respected columnist, reporter, investigative reporter of the Wall Street Journal. And he was one of the people involved in this. Now, I got to tell you, and he testified this week before the Mueller bunch. Well, I got to be honest with you, I don't know where he testified, but he testified this week for 10 hours discussing this Christopher Steele dossier, this report that links President Mr. Trump, first of all, to this golden shower incident, which I totally believe, and links him to these oligarchs and payoffs and all the names we're looking at right now, Manafort and Carter Page, all these folks are in there. Flynn, all the names are in there. There's people that are at the center of this thing. This guy has it all. He testified for 10 hours. And we find out that he's telling the Senate investigators, here's 40,000 pages. Here is my work product that I used. We stand behind our report. And here is my work product, 40,000 pages. Take it, go through it, and tell me where I'm wrong. We stand behind this 100%. Now, people hear 40,000 pages, and you think, well, 40,000 pages, what has he got? Documents? Most of that's going to be transcripts of conversations, okay? And you can have 1,000 pages just from one conversation, 1 2-hour conversation, a 2.5-hour conversation. There's a lot of ums and ers and stuff like that. I've read thousands of these things, of telephone conversation transcripts. So that's probably what it's going to be mostly. Has been turned over. I would say like 10,000 of these pages is probably just telephone transcripts or recorded conversation transcripts. But we got a ton of information here, guys, okay? And we have a New York Times reporter. We have a former UK intelligence officer from the MI6 over there. So it's not dubious. And I've known all along it's not dubious. That's just not how life works. In order to be hired, I was just talking today with Jose Lambier in the previous show, who has a company, he's a private investigator and a reporter, and he does political opposition research. Now, he's not a level where he's doing it for the President of the United States. That's a whole other story. We can get into that. But the thing is to be hired in a presidential campaign, okay, to produce this kind of a lengthy report, back and forth, where they're going back to him for more and more information. He's reporting more information. Like he's getting paid more and more. It's like $500,000. Okay, this company was paid. There's no doubt in my mind. Probably more than that, because look at the sources he's got in Russia over there and stuff. But the thing is, if they don't just throw away this money, okay, in order to get hired from that job, you have to be respected. You have to have a reputation where you can first get the job. You're not going to throw away your reputation, your respect, by giving a phony report or a silly report of made-up rumors and gossip and nonsense. Okay? That's just not how this works. Okay? It's just not how this works. I feel like that the show with the old ladies and say, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Okay, this is not how it works. And this guy was hired by both the Republicans and the Democrats because they both were aware of him and they both respect him. The FBI was going to pay for this report. Okay, guys? This is not where you make up nonsense. You'll never get hired again. If you make up a phony report, okay, even if it's for $1 million or $500,000, you never get hired again. That's why you don't do that. Okay? You know, and it's not like people don't come to you and say, "Hey, man, can you we need this to say this. Can you do it for us?" No. Okay, because word gets around and you lose your reputation. Oh my God. Anyway, but people just want to believe what they want to believe. It's a dubious report, Ed. Okay, well, let's see now. Okay, I'm right again. Never wrong. Ugh. Okay, you know what? I've lost my voice. I'm done. I'm exhausted. If you like the show, by the way, too, we got that show going up in the member section by Mr. Snuff, Shawman Duff. Sean, StrummanMusic.com, Duff. Is going to be uploading that for us. You can go to the member section and find the Steve Bannon report that we have. There's exclusive information there about the catalog, the sex toy catalog, and about the mention of human trafficking. I have another an interview following up with that. So you want to do that become a membership for a year, $69. They give you 13 months. You got to PayPal me direct at oppermanreport@gmail.com. Otherwise, you just go to oppermanreport.com and you can just sign up for the membership there. A month for $6 or 3 months for $20. You get a nice deal. Or a year for $74. You get 12, not a baker's year, a regular year. All right, guys, I'm exhausted. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a show about Scott Peterson, and I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on next week. Man, you have no idea. All right, we got so much going on here. But the Steve Bannon stuff is exclusive, and I even got to get around to putting out a press release on it, too. I will someday. All right, guys, thank you so much. Good night. Coming up next is Pierce Redmond, Porkins Policy. And he's going to have the great Chuck Ocelli on there. And by the way, you can find Chuck Ocelli and Pierce Redmond. We play them. Chuck Ocelli's on awakeradio.us every single night at 5 o'clock. Brand new live content he broadcasts on awakeradio.us. So people should bookmark that and check it out during the day because we have all kinds of repeats on there. And I'm always uploading new things, too. So awakeradio.us, bookmark that. My shows are on there live. And there's a chat room over there, and Chuck Ocelli's live. Then we have Alan Warren coming on each night after Chuck Ocelli. I think they just started doing it tonight. So, and that's all brand new content too. Alan Warren does a lot of true crime. There's a lot of stuff like we do here, and a lot of true crime stuff too going over there